Handle your high with Tadayoshi.
Live. Hey, John, back again. It's another week, another way.
What up, dude?
Oh, man. So you had a busy week. I know we were just talking. You had a busy week doing lots of, I guess it picked up for a while.
Yeah, I moved shops. The shop in a smaller town, but the shop that I'm in seems to be a little bit busier, a little bit more my style. So, I mean, I had a great time at the other shop, left on completely good terms. Everybody there was awesome with me, but this place needed me. They needed a piercer also. The other place I can only tattoo. So here I get to do everything and make more money.
When you say everything, tell everybody what that means. Because
at this shop, I can tattoo, I can pierce, and I can do full body modification, meaning I can split your tongue, I can hang you from hooks, I can do branding, scarification.
So I'm curious, what's the craziest shit that you've done in your life so far that you would think is kind of nutty or kind of wild?
Well, there's a thing, some people cross a certain line. In my opinion, there is a difference between body modification and body mutilation. I don't amputate things. I don't. There's people that
people ask for that.
People come in and ask to have like a fingertip amputated or an entire finger and it's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing anything that limits your body. You want your tongue split? That actually gives you more dexterity. So I'm not limiting your body.
It's also kind of permanent, right? If you cut a finger off, man, it's like you're done.
Yeah, it's permanent. The problem is some of the clients, just like me and you in bodybuilding, we all have a bit of body dysmorphia.
Sure.
We all look in the mirror and think we're half the size we are, and that's what makes us go in and push harder the next day in the gym. These people, they have that, but they also have a need for attention. And so they'll go out and get their tattoo, and that gets some attention for a little while. And then they'll go do some type of extreme piercing, and then that'll give them attention. Then all of a sudden they'll go get their tongue split, and then they'll get attention for that. From there, there's implants, like subdermal implants, stuff like that, like we talked about on the last show that I used to have in my hand. And but then you have people that they need that.
It's like not enough.
How extreme they are.
Right.
And some people won't draw the line. I drew it in the sand a long time ago and refused to go past it. The craziest things I'll do or I've done, it's not so much crazy, but probably the most painful procedure I've performed it's called a skin peel. And the person basically, they had this part of their arm all blacked out in tattoo, solid black. We drew two-dimensional shapes in the arm, and then took a number 11 scalpel and traced them, and then took a grabbed the skin at the edge with a pair of forceps, cutting blade, and filleted the skin out.
Oh, man. How do you do so? Does it heal up? What is it?
Yeah, it heals in a scar, and so you get this whitish, pinkish scar surrounded by all this black, smooth tattoo.
Oh my gosh, that just sounds ultra painful.
Yeah.
You got to give them like lidocaine or something, or what do you got to do?
Well, that's not legal.
Oh, okay. So basically,
anything that might have been done to their skin before I touch them.
That's on them, right?
I don't administer lidocaine. I don't have an MD, so.
Oh my God, that just. So do you? I don't even know what would possess a person to want to do that.
If you see it on somebody else and it's done correctly, it does look pretty cool. It looks very primitive, very tribal-ish. But it does look cool. And, that's, in my opinion, it's no crazier than anything in tongue splittings.
What about now I don't know the correct names for this, so I might be fucking the names up a little bit. But what about the where they stick the rod through their penis and the Prince Henry and whatever? Prince Albert. There we go. Henry Albert. What the fuck's all that about?
Different people do it for different reasons.
Is it supposed to enhance pleasure or something?
It can enhance pleasure usually for their partner.
Okay, so not for them. For them, it's just painful.
Some will say it does. Some say it doesn't. I've had my PA done for 20 years. Okay. I don't wear anything in it anymore. I haven't in years, but I never thought it enhanced for me, but I've had plenty of girls say that they liked it.
Oh, but didn't it hurt? Doesn't that hurt? And tell me exactly what you do.
Okay, on a Prince Albert, you clean the entire area. Just behind the head of your dick, there's like a little V where your head ridge is.
Right. Yeah, where the gland. It's the gland.
Put it just behind that. So in the regular part of the tissue, just behind the glands, you slide a receiving tube in the urethra, and you fold up so that you see the white of the receiving tube pressing against the flesh.
Okay.
Line it up with that dot. Take a 10-gauge needle, push it into the receiving tube.
10-gauge needle.
Yes. I mean, you don't want some thin, floppy piece of jewelry in there that's going to bend. Right. Put your jewelry in, put it up, wrap it in gauze, good to go.
How long does it take to heal?
About 8 weeks.
And so what about when you pee, man? Isn't that kind of like, can you get infected?
When I had mine done, I actually had mine done at a piercing seminar years and years and years at Gauntlet. And it was really funny to me because I got it done, and that night it burned to pee, and I thought I was freaking out.
I would imagine I would too.
And the guy teaching the seminar, I'm like, dude, what? Pulled him off the side. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
This hurts.
And he was like, stop drinking soda, asshole. You're making your piss acidic. So I switched to water, and within about 6 hours, it stopped hurting to pee. So that's something I warn people about that I was not warned about: is drink mostly water. Keep your acidity levels down.
Wow, man. What other kind of what other kind of? I've seen stuff like people put like these like they look like needles or like spikes. They're screwed into the fork.
Those are transdermal implants. Yeah. And basically what it is, it's got 4 little feet at the bottom of it and then a post that comes up through the skin.
Right.
And that's threaded. So they can unthread those and put all kinds of different attachments on them. The little tiny jewels you see on girls, like getting a little, that's a micro version of the same thing.
Oh, okay.
A transdermal implant, meaning
I always wondered how that stays in there without like coming out.
It's got, if you could imagine looking under it, like you have the post that's going through the skin. It's got basically a flat foot that's shorter on one side and longer on the other. You slide, when you do the incision, it's done with the actual needle, not a scalpel. You create the pocket, slide the long foot in, and then pull it on it, and then pop the other foot down under the skin. The skin tightens up around it.
It just heals up?
It just heals up.
So what if they take it out, let's say a couple months later, they take it out, will it close up or will it stay? Oh, it will. So sort of like an earring.
Yeah, they're harder to take out because usually the feet have holes in them so that the tissues can go through the holes so that it won't move and it won't try to migrate.
Oh.
So the tissue underneath it'll anchor it in place, hence the term dermal anchor.
Wow.
But yeah, getting it out is a little bit harder than most people think it is.
Oh, that's wild, man. That's wild. I guess I couldn't. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems to me like it would be like you would have like. I mean, I guess it's no similar to people doing like facelifts and going this extensive sort of to modify their bodies. But people get overboard, like you said. They go. I've seen some people do. They get in this, like you said. They get. They need that. I don't know if it's a high or there's some kind of like rush or some kind of gratification to get from the people around them, but they can't stop. They have one surgery after, like Michael Jackson's like a good example.
It's just body dysmorphia. They're never happy with what they see, so they keep wanting to change it. There's some of that in the industry.
Do you ever have a conversation with somebody and say, "Hey, man, like I think you had enough, don't you think?"
I've had to tell clients. I've had to tell clients you need to find somebody else to refuse work I do, and one client actually years and years and years ago I had to get a restraining order.
Really? Oh, because they were upset.
He started stalking me.
Oh my god!
And it got to the point where we got into an altercation outside of a bar because I was just tired of this dude following me everywhere, and I confronted him, and he took a swing at me. We got into a fight.
Over you not wanting to do this work?
Having to get an attorney and to take care of that, and then also get a restraining order.
So it was all because you didn't want to do some work for him?
He was just weird and just was I told him I didn't want to do some of the extreme shit he wanted done. And the next thing I know, like everywhere I went, and back then I was a very social person, so I was going to all different bars. I was all over the place. It wasn't like I was just one place and you just randomly showed up. When you're at everywhere I go for weeks,
you're following me,
stuck.
dude. You're fucking.
So,
well, what is the craziest thing that you've been requested or that you've seen?
Oh, requested? I mean, hands down, if your request is going to have to be to do a castration.
Really? Somebody actually asked you, like, don't you need to do that with a doctor or something?
There's a stupid website that I'm not going to give the name of on here just because I don't want people going to it, but they post all kinds of stupid shit like people doing self-castrations and everything else. And this person wanted me to perform a full castration. I mean, all of it. I mean, I'm not a surgeon. I do know enough about anatomy. Like, I could do it without you bleeding to death and all this other stuff. And I could do it all sterile, but no. Like, there's no part of me that wants to do that, and there is not enough money. I mean, it's...
That would suck to do a castration for somebody to go out and have that done and then have buyer's remorse. I think
there's obviously this dude was suffering from demons that are far deeper than anything I knew about his life. I mean, that's just I mean, I'm trying to withhold judgment of saying he's just batshit fucking crazy, but he's probably just batshit fucking crazy, and who knows why he's that way? Like, you know, he might have dealt with some fucked up shit in his life. Who knows? I don't know. I don't walk in his shoes, but yeah, I just told him no, and I stayed in that same area for a couple of years after that. As far as I know, he never had it done.
Oh, well, probably nobody else wanted to do it either, I imagine.
I mean, dude, I'd be willing to bet there's people out there that would do it.
Oh, I'm sure there is, yeah.
There's people out there that, just like any other industry, dude, there's people out there that give the industry a bad name.
Sure. What's the coolest thing you've ever seen that sticks out?
I mean, my favorite modification on anybody is just tongue splitting.
Oh, really?
That's the one thing that I've had done that, you know, has been my favorite. I mean,
I can just imagine somebody, I don't know, because the first thing I think of is like, oh man, he's a fucking devil.
I had a friend who was, I can't remember which tribe he was, but he was Indian. He said that I am the white man that speak with forked tongue.
Oh, really?
I was a white man that speak with forked tongue. So that was kind of funny. My homeboy Audie way back in the day.
Oh, right. So does that, when you do the tongue splitting, I think I might have asked this before, but I don't remember. Does it, because that, man, when I just like burn my tongue, it fucking hurts like shit.
Well, there's a difference. Like all your feeling for all your nerve endings and stuff are at the top layer. So when you scalpel through it, it's so fast and sharp. It doesn't feel the same. It's biting your tongue is 1,000 times worse than splitting it.
Okay. So it doesn't really
the downside is I have 2 ends to my tongue, which means I can bite the tip of my tongue twice.
So now, how long does that take to heal?
8 to 14 days. Took mine about 10.
Wow, that fast. That's surprising. I would have just suspected.
Tongue being so vascular, dude. Think about how much.
Oh, sure.
Blood's coming through it and repairing everything.
But it's always so moist in there. Like, doesn't that impede the? No. Okay. Well, gosh.
That's tissue. That's what the tissue's meant to be.
Now, why did you want to do that? I never asked you that.
I had done dozens of them. I was working in a shop actually here in Kentucky again. This was 17 years ago, when I was dating my first wife. And I got the owner of the shop went home, and the shop I worked at was in a college town, and it was what they call a suitcase college, meaning everybody goes home on like long weekends and the holidays, so the town dies. And I lived in an apartment above the shop. So for like 2 weeks, I saw not a soul. And I started I needed to find something to occupy my brain because I was literally losing my mind. And I set it up one time. and I tore it down. And for about 2 days, I would set it up 3 or 4 times a day, do the setup, go through all the procedures in my head. And then finally, I think 2 days into it, I just said, fuck it. And I had to figure out, I had to do a couple things a little different than the way I would normally do it
on yourself. You performed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is that harder than doing it on somebody else?
I would, yeah, I mean, yeah, when you're doing it on someone else, you don't feel anything.
Shit. Oh, man.
If you're doing it on somebody else, like, it's easier for you to get gauze in their mouth and pack it off. And, it wasn't painful, really, to be honest. I felt the cold air real fast. Like, you know, obviously the inside of your mouth is 98.6. Inside of that shop was probably 65 degrees at the time, so it felt cold very fast. Packed it off with gauze, gave me something to take care of for the next couple days, and then, you know, people started coming back into town.
You're like, what's up?
Over the years, I've actually gotten quite a few free lap dances.
Oh, wow. Okay, you know, that would have been something that I think Gene Simmons should have done in his heyday.
I don't think he needed to. I think,
man, the dude's got a cow tongue, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. It's long.
There's a female Instagram fitness model that she has a tongue probably as long, if not longer, than Gene Simmons. She also has her eyes blacked out.
What's that? How do you do that? What's going on?
They inject ink into the eye.
Doesn't that affect your vision?
No.
Oh, because it doesn't cross the pupil.
Yeah.
Oh.
Inject it into the white. You can do different colors and all stuff. She did hers black, so I mean they just look.
Oh my gosh,
deep.
That must look kind of satanic a little bit, kind of wicked.
She does. I don't really know too much about her. A friend of mine was following her, and I saw him comment, and I started following her. She seems cool. She actually seems like she has a very light personality.
Does she have tattoos? Like, does she get?
Yeah, she has tattoos on her arms. She's not heavily tattooed. I mean, she's not.
You know, that's
she's got a great physique too. I mean, like
she's bikini.
She's built. No, I don't think she competes. I don't know. Actually, let me rephrase that. I don't know if she competes. I haven't followed along. I just know that she's real into fitness.
Oh, okay.
Shredded, huge quads. I mean, she's got a good body on her. Like, I follow just about anybody on Instagram that I think is interesting.
Wow, I never heard of that blacking out, but that's kind of interesting. What's fascinating to me these days, when I was, growing up, like, you know, I'm 48, when growing up, tattooing didn't become really popular until probably the last 20 years or something like that. Like, really popular, like really mainstream, right?
Yeah, about 25 years.
Yeah, so like where it was really mainstream. Before that, it was just like sailors and like Hell's Angels guys, you know, like my bikers and shit.
Well, there's an old saying in the industry, the bumper sticker that a lot of different shops use. It says, you know, tattoos, they're not just for sailors and whores anymore.
Right, exactly. So it was kind of a select crowd you knew kind of, but nowadays everyone's like going to the gyms. I was just in the gym yesterday morning and they were doing all these classes. And I see these young girls and they got this girl's got 2 sleeves and it's very commonplace. It's like not even unusual anymore. It's not even unusual anymore. And she's young, real pretty girl actually. And a great shape, and she was doing her burpees and all this stuff. And but I was just like, oh, and it just dawned on me, wow, man, like it's just so commonplace, now.
It is, and it just depends on where you're at. I mean,
that must have been interesting for you growing up in the tattoo industry, so to speak, where you've seen it really blow up, because you know.
Yeah, I saw the tattoo industry come. In some ways leaps and bounds, and in some ways kind of fucked up. There's a lot of stuff in the tattoo industry I don't like anymore.
Like, what's the biggest changes that you see that's bad, and what's the biggest that's good?
Well, the start of all the bad stuff was when the house economy was going through the roof, and people had a bunch of extra money laying around, and the TV tattoo shows started taking off. Everybody started basically buying shops for the idiot tattooing across the street out of his garage, and the problem is most people don't know what the difference between a good and a bad tattoo is until somebody tells them. So they're going into these shops thinking it's a professional shop, knowing this guy's never been professionally trained. He's never had an apprenticeship. He doesn't know bloodborne pathogens. He's just as dirty as if he was tattooing out of his fucking house. And they don't fucking know that. Then he's doing stuff with tattoo. And the age of Instagram is destroying tattoos also, because a lot of artists are doing these tiny little itty bitty, super detailed fine line tattoos where it's, you know, The entire tattoo is the size of a quarter, but it has, an hour and a half worth of line work in it, which is all super, fine. And it looks great for about 6 months. And then the skin's going to spread over time. And in 2 to 3 years, it's going to look like absolute shit. The way I was taught to tattoo was you're putting your name on that person's skin by doing your art on them, which means you want it to look good in 20 years. You want it to look good in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 years. Not, hey, it looks great for a picture on Instagram right now and get them out the fucking door. I think that the people that are doing that is such a fucking abuse, because people are looking through Instagram and that's how they're picking their artists. They don't know any different. They don't know that the ink hasn't really changed that much. They don't know that ink and skin is going to spread, period. I don't care how great the guy was. You put a bunch of fine lines next to each other, in 3 years, you have a blur of shit. It is what it is. This is how the industry is. And if you were brought up through a real apprenticeship, you would know all these things. And so this has started to really, really degrade. And then the sad part is there's so much great art out right now. So many amazing artists. Like back when I first started tattooing, there's maybe 40 or 50 world-class artists, period. Like there's just, I mean, you could literally go, like I could go through a list and tell you, like, here's the baddest artists in every state. And everybody knew it because of the magazines and everything else. Now there's guys that are in shops that nobody's ever heard of them that are absolute phenoms. The downside for some of these guys is they're such amazing artists that they don't know how to sell. They don't know how to get themselves out there. They just, do their work, and they're the king of their little corner of the world, but they never promoted themselves. And as an artist, I love seeing great work. I love seeing guys that just blow my, like, I love looking at a tattoo and having to break it down to the simplistics of what it is to figure out how they created the effects they did. And, nowadays there's such great artists. And then even some of those great artists don't understand that there are certain standards for tattooing that, you can do this and it's going to look good for a year or two, but overall that tattoo's never going to hold up. It's never going to stand the test of time.
And it's because the way that it's tattooed, the style.
A lot of them, one of the biggest things, a lot of guys aren't using a lot of black anymore. Black is the base to all, to almost all tattoos.
So you layer the tattoo when you tattoo it? Is that what you do? You layer colors?
Yeah. You blend. Oh. But your darks, your deeps. When your eye looks at a piece of art, you see the brightest points first, the darkest points second, and actually everything else is in the minutia in the middle that your brain only really looks into if you keep looking. But if you just look at a piece of art real quick, you're going to see the highlights and the lowlights. And then the foreground, whatever the foreground is, the brightest points are going to pop out to you, and the background's going to be the background. There's a lot of people that just don't understand, the fundamentals of tattooing and why tattooing was done the same way it was done for so long. And what we're going to see in the next 15 years or so is a lot of these badass sleeves and stuff that just look amazing, look like absolute shit.
They're just going to fade or blend.
Someone's looking to invest in something. People investing in tattoo removal companies 10 years probably going to go ape shit.
Really? Oh, wow. Well,
there's so many shitty tattoo artists in shops nowadays. There's so many shops just flooding the markets and just watering down.
How good of an artist do you have to be? I mean, does that really matter, or can you get to be fairly prolific?
It depends on.
Because I've seen some pretty badass shit. I've seen some pretty really wicked stuff.
I started there was two types is the way we talked about it in the industry. There's tattooists and tattoo artists. A tattooist, when I started, was a guy that if you picked something off the wall, he'd make it look like that picture.
Okay.
Tattoo artist could grab your arm with a pen and draw something on you and then tattoo it and make it look cool.
Is that what you do?
I do both. Most tattoo artists can, if you give me a picture of something, I'll take a picture of some. Nowadays, people don't really pick anything off the wall. They bring in some picture they found on Google or Pinterest. And don't get me started on these idiots on Pinterest. I want to smack the people from Pinterest.
Why is some of that artwork not really translatable?
No, I mean, they'll bring in a picture of, it's not Pinterest's fault. It's the people that use Pinterest's fault. They'll bring in a picture of a tattoo and tell you shit like, I want this tattoo to look exactly like this, but custom. But exactly like this.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. These people are fucking retarded.
They want you to make it unique?
No. They want it exactly like the picture, but they want it to be custom. It can't be. There's no way of doing both.
Yeah, I mean, you either have something that's uniquely custom, or you have something that's not, right?
And then I've had people get mad when you tell them that that's not humanly possible. And I'm telling you right now, these same people that got mad at me, they got participation trophies at some point in their life. What they want when they want it, whether it works or not. And somebody needed to tell them, no, you're a moron, go away.
I want to be special.
But at that point, that day, I got to be that guy. If someone had just told them earlier in their life when they played sports, you suck at this, do something else or try harder, instead of giving them that fucking free trophy, maybe they'd be a better person and not aggravating me at work.
We've had lots of conversations about this. We'll have that conversation again too, by the way. But so if someone was going to go out and choose, they were looking to get a tattoo, because we talked about this. I don't have any tattoos, but if I ever got one, I'd definitely have you do it. But if and you know the kind I would, I'd probably do like a tribal band, like a Hawaiian tribal band that had my family history that was real, and we'd come up with something because I might.
We've done it a couple times.
Yeah,
the only thing I'm not willing to do is you talked about a long time ago about a little earring. You're talking about a pirate ring, and I went,
Yeah. I do. I like hoops. I'm like, I've always liked that shit. I wanted to both.
1984 called,
They said no way. They said, hey man, like, weird science is over. But if someone's going to go out there looking to say, okay, if they didn't know if they couldn't be in Kentucky where you're at and get you, where would what would you recommend them? How would they determine if this is a good tattooist or tattoo artist to use or not?
Okay, there's a couple things to take in mind. Like, what kind of tattoo? Are you looking for a sleeve, or are you looking for just a little tattoo? If you're looking for a little tattoo, walk into any shop, start picking up portfolios. Look at people's portfolios, ask questions.
See what you like.
See what you like, and as long as you like the stuff on there. With a sleeve, it's going to be similar, but with a sleeve, you're dedicating more time and money, which means I'm going to tell you to talk to the artist at least once or twice before you even start talking about what you want. Because if you're going to spend that many hours in a chair and it hurts, you don't want to do it with somebody you don't like or you don't get along. Some clients don't want to talk at all while they're being tattooed. They want you to just tattoo and they don't want to have any conversation. And there's artists out there that love to just put on headphones and tattoo. Got nothing wrong with that. I love to talk while I tattoo. I talk shit, joke around, have fun. If I'm being there for hours, my brain works on so many different platforms at once.
Might as well get to know somebody, right?
Yeah, I get to know people, and it's one of the reasons I usually have such a large clientele everywhere I work is people get to know you. You
get to be friends, right? It's one of the great things about my job when I do all this coaching for all these years for last almost 30 years, I've gotten to know so many of my clients in such great ways that, I enjoy that part of my conversations. Not just talking about the diet or the exercise, but also just talking about their life and giving them any kind of input that I have if they want it. But having those kinds of, so I imagine it's the same for you, but you're sitting there for long periods of time.
It's the same. Some people also, I have people that they'll want to get tattooed and they call it ink therapy. They'll be going through something stressful in their life.
It's cheaper than a therapist.
Yeah, 100%. They'll be going through something stressful in their life, and getting a big tattoo session, it releases a lot of endorphins. One, you're going to sleep like a baby that night because you just put your body through a lot, and it just makes them feel better. And a lot of them somehow sort their lives out while under the needle.
Well, there is something probably therapeutic. I was saying, what was that?
it's no different than me or you sorting our lives out while
In the
under.
gym.
There's no difference. We're hurting ourselves. Someone else is hurting them. Like, it's somehow pain helps you figure shit out. And I get it.
That is kind of funny. I was watching. I don't know if you've seen the guy. He came out with a book. David Goggins. He's done a lot of cool stuff. He's like ex SEAL, ex Ranger. I mean, this guy's pretty incredible. The stuff he's done. Broke the pull-up record. I think he 5,000 pull-ups in 24 hours.
Yeah, I haven't read his book yet.
You got to follow him on Instagram. He's really kind of. He's got, and I think you would totally get him because the shit he says, like some of it, I don't quite always buy into, but I totally understand the mentality and I totally respect it. I think he's done some amazing shit. He's got a book. I think it's called "You Can't Hurt Me." Something about, and an amazing life. Had a shit childhood. Dad beat him every day. All this kind of garbage, and then he sort of figured out stuff in his head. He figured out how to master his life through pain. He's like, he went into all these crazy things and he figured out how to, he really gets excited when he gets to this threshold of pain. And he said, you can't really know yourself unless you go into those deep, dark places. And for him, it's running and stuff like that. So I imagine it's sort of like that with the tattooing.
I saw him a long time ago on Joe Rogan. And
yeah,
I thought he was very interesting. I don't agree with everything he says about the whole thing of pain. I think part of him is just an absolute,
I think it's the way he deals with it. I think it's the way he's dealt with the pain of his life, childhood.
I think that he almost gets a pleasure out of the pain.
Oh, he totally does. He totally does. I mean, he doesn't. He says he doesn't like it, but he does.
Even a lot of his stuff of push yourself through certain thresholds. But I think he did like 800-mile marathons.
Yeah, fucking insane shit. Ultra marathon. Yeah. The dude did a heavy deadlifting workout with like clean and jerks the day before he ran his first ultra marathon, which is 100 miles in like a 24-hour period or something like that, or 36-hour period, whatever it was. And he never ran one before. Like he was just doing it, and he's like, he did it because it was his one of his ex SEAL trainers said, "Hey man, let's go work out." And he's like, "Can't turn this dude down." And he was gonna be in the stands watching me run on this track for like 30 hours or whatever. And he said, I wanted him to look at me while I was running this and go, what the fuck is up with Goggins, man? How could he do this? And he said, he almost put him in the hospital actually, but he did it. And I think he does. I think you're right. I think he gets some strange, sadistic, masochistic sort of thing with the pain going. But I do agree though that there is something magical when you take yourself to those places that is really uncomfortable. When we're comfortable, we're not challenged. We're not, and so pain sometimes can be that threshold that really sort of unlocks the door to really knowing who you are and where you're going. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been in some of those deep dark places like maybe he has in his life, and maybe you have in your life, but I have in my own way, as I've talked about on other shows and stuff. I mean, I've tried to commit suicide twice, and I think I've told you about this before. For one, when I was 19, when my grandmother died, ironically not related to her death, but I really felt like she helped me, but it didn't work, and I came out of it feeling with a sense of renewal. But then before, after my ex-wife decided to leave, then I really felt like I was done. But it was really sort of after coming through that experience, and I took like 1,100. I think I told you about this, right?
Mm.
I
remember calling you a couple times out of nowhere. When you're going through the stuff, when your ex-wife left, just for some reason, because me and you had been, hit and miss when we were talking to each other. I remember calling you and texting you a couple times out of nowhere, and then I knew you were in a dark place, and so I was trying to check.
I had defined my whole life based on my relationship with my ex-wife, and it was a meaningful thing for me, and I didn't see it coming in that direction, but I couldn't, I wasn't mad I was mad at her at first because we had made promises, but Today I'm not. Today I really feel that she did the best thing for her, and it was the best thing for both of us. But at the time, I was telling myself in my head some things that really were just really detrimental to my own personal well-being, and it happened so fast, really fast, because I'm a guy that always exists, as you know, on this happy place, and so it was like sort of getting the rug pulled out from underneath you, and I really didn't have. I really realized I didn't have the skills to be able to cope with it as good as I thought, and so I took 1,100 units of Humalog insulin. That's 11,000. That's a bottle in it. That's a little over a bottle. You know that. That's a lot. I should be dead. It only takes about 700 or 7,000 to kill somebody. It was a lot. And I remember going in and out of consciousness. I just figured I'd go to sleep into a diabetic coma and I'd be done. But I had this really strange, surreal experience where I was passing in and out. And for about 20 hours or so, I kind of sweating bullets, and I was seeing shit. But I came out of it. She came back home after she found the note that I left. I left a loving note. I just wanted to tell her I loved her, and that I was not blaming anybody for nothing. And I wasn't trying. This was not a plea for help. It was just me saying, "Hey, look, man, I've done what I did in my life, and I'm good, you know." And she was pissed, and so that really sort of but the funny thing is, I didn't die, of course, and I really felt like. It really left me with this notion. It's hard to explain because I really feel that I intuitively knew that I was supposed to still be here. That whatever you want to call it, a spirit, a soul, a higher consciousness, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it, this thing that I really am, not this body, but this thing that I really am, intended to still be here. And when I intend not to be here is when I'm going to go. And it wasn't then. That was not the time. And I came out of it really with this powerful sense of knowing of that. And when she confronted me with this anger about why I would do this, first I felt, gosh, man, it's like if this was really this person that I was supposed to be with, then I felt like I should be at least confronted with some degree of love or some degree of caring and empathy. But
no, not even a little bit. Like the fact that if you had told me this face to face, I'd hit you now, like hard.
But that's what I was in a really sort of...
Because I care about you, and that's, how the fuck would pick up a phone?
Well, like, you know me, and and everybody who knows me also really well, like you do, knows that I've had a difficult time in my past asking for help for anything. And so, and I still do at times. I still struggle with that, but I'm learning now. Actually, my mentor, who's going to be on the show, David Meltzer, he was the guy that they made the movie Jerry Maguire after. He was Jerry Maguire, and he's awesome dude. But he spotted out really quickly as he's mentored me that I do have a problem asking for help, and he's helped me understand a few things about that, and I've really gotten a little bit better with it. I'm still working my way through it. I'm not sure exactly why that is the case, but it's always been difficult for me to reach out and ask for help, especially when things like this. And I don't know if it's because I felt like it was like a sense of weakness or because I've never been, that's not what initially comes to mind, but it could be. Who knows? I mean, but what I do know is that I didn't feel like anybody could help me. I didn't feel like I needed anybody. That's what I felt like at the time. Now I realize... Yeah, I would want somebody, if I cared about like you or my brother or someone, said, yeah, man, reach out. Like I want, if you need some help. Today, I definitely, the great thing about it, the whole experience is that today I have a very powerful sense of knowing and joy for my life. And I don't think I could have it if I didn't have these contrasting experiences. But it was definitely a dark time.
You can have low experiences without, trying to off yourself.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I mean, dude, come on, think about it. I've dragged myself out of the gutter a couple times. I mean, damn near literally.
Well,
I've never even thought of that as I mean, I've had some screwed up experiences. I've dealt with, drug addiction and. I've 2 ex-wives, and I've had the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, but I've always loved me way too much to want to kill me.
Well, I didn't,
and I mean that I think people should be a little bit more. I think people should love themselves a little bit more. I think people should, and I want to say almost be a little. What's the word I'm looking for here? in that sense, conceited.
You're probably right.
About yourself, like you should love you that much.
I absolutely today I would tell you I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. I think at the time when you're so anybody who's gone through, and I've had these 2 bouts of where I would call severe depression because it only lasted a couple of weeks. See, this is the funny thing. It only hit me for a couple of maybe I think it was about 2 weeks, and same thing before when I was 19, and I don't know if it was. I think it has more to do with like for instance today. I know this last time it was hard for me to reach out because I felt I should know the answers to this. I should feel because I'm the guy that everybody said, oh yeah, Tad in his happy bubble. You know, Tad. I'm Mr. Positivity.
Knowing you as well as I know you, I think because the reason that you were depressed, you also didn't want to reach out because I think you were a little embarrassed.
Absolutely, positively, 1,000%.
That'd be one.
Yeah.
Because I know when me and you did talk, the one night that I got a hold of you, me and you did talk, and you had told me, I think this was either December or January after it happened.
Right.
You talked, and I was floored. I mean, because I've known both you, just as long, and both great people to me, but I'm your friend, and you're as close as I am to any type of family. So, I was worried about you, and I also made sure how loving my wife is. So I told my wife what was going on. I said, next couple of days, shoot Tad a message, just tell him you love him.
Oh man, thanks, man. Well,
her.
Your wife is sweet. She's the sweetest lady I know.
Oh, she's awesome. So it's just, and it's. I tattooed Marines for a lot of years, and I have a lot of friends with really bad PTSD. I've lost a lot of friends, like literally more friends than anybody would ever want to admit to losing to suicide. I got a lot of friends that are in 27 Fox Company from the 2008 pump to Afghanistan is the highest suicide rate of any unit, period.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
And
is there a particular reason for that? Just out of curiosity?
They were sent in to take the entire Helmand province by themselves.
So they saw some shit.
There were supposed to be 3 units. Instead, they split 1 unit into 2 sections and sent them into two different plots, and they took Helmand. I think after the first couple of days, I think they got a little bit of help from another unit. And I want to say it was 3-5, but I might be wrong about that because I don't know those guys that well. They all had to go through 29 palms, but 2-7 was out of 29 palms, so I know those guys real well. They saw some shit, man, and they fought like absolute warriors. None of them should be in the mental state that they were left in because, they did their country proud. And I've heard that from multiple people that were there on the ground with them. But I've dealt with a lot of people that have, lost it from PTSD. I'm on a bunch of different boards and forums. My phone is on at all times. My wife thinks it's a little crazy. I still take calls at 3:00 in the morning from numbers. And I will talk to anybody, anytime. And it's hard for some people to reach out. I've, of the literally dozens and dozens of people I've talked to, I've lost a few. And, that takes its toll on me, but these guys went over and did something for us. So I feel that, it's well worth the price I pay. And then, the only one that ever caught me off guard is I had one guy commit suicide on the phone with me.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
After like weeks of talking, and that fucked my head up for a minute. Because I just couldn't figure out why he.
Somebody that you're on a board with, and you
it was somebody that he got referred to talk to me through another friend of mine who was a Marine. Like, hey, can you talk to my buddy? Basically, some of them just need other Marine soldiers, whatever, so they know what the same is. I was never there, and I've dealt with my own demons, but I wasn't in their shoes. I didn't go to war. I'm not a Marine. Some of them want to talk to somebody that's just willing to listen and not try to just give them I know what you're going through.
Right. Well, nobody wants to hear that because the truth is
some really do because, they were there together. And sometimes Like I still monitor a lot of my friends online, and I monitor their posts and shit like that. And when someone posts start getting a little dark, I'll hit up everybody in their unit that I know. Hey, go reach out, make sure he's all right. Blah blah blah. I just talked to him. Here's how I took things, and I've never had anybody get upset for me doing that. I've only had them, hey, thank you, thanks for looking out. But what's actually surprising is most of them do it at times that you wouldn't expect. Most of them do it when they're out, they have a good job, just got married, have a kid. Like, it seems like everything's going good. And I think what it is
I feel guilty.
I don't know if then that could be one part of it, but I think the other part of it is they think that life's going too good and they can't deal with it. Yeah, something's going to happen. Because I've been very well off 2 different times in my life. And I always enjoyed the hustle to get to where I was at, and be where I was at. And then I'm never been afraid to do work.
And you're also, by the way, you're also one of the most generous people that I know, and I always appreciate that about you. And some people aren't, and you are, and you should be recognized for that.
I grew up with a group of friends, and we always everybody just kind of always put in together. We always just had enough as a group, and no one needed anything extra. And that's just how I grew up. And I'm still the same way that I'll give someone the last dollar in my pocket if I know we're all going to eat at the same time. But I think some of these guys, they think it's all going to fall on them. And the 2 times I've been doing very, very well in my life, all I could think about was, this is awesome. What's going to fuck it up? But made it to where it was less enjoyable. And usually I became very secluded. I didn't go out, stuff like that. I was great at work and I did all those things. I had known nice shit and everybody thought everything. And I wasn't depressed. I wasn't sad. I just was worried. Because life's always going to be up and down.
It's the nature of life, right?
Nothing's going to stop it. So if you're at the peak, you can only go down.
I think secretly, deep inside, you enjoy the climb. I think you do. I know,
100%. I do enjoy the climb. Here's the thing. I'll never be afraid of being broke. I mean, I'm pretty much broke right now. I got a great wife. I got good friends around me. My last issues, and like I said, we'll talk about that on another podcast, really showed me who a lot of my true friends are.
Isn't that amazing when you have experiences like that?
What was more amazing wasn't the people that let me down, but it was the random people that stood up. The people that I didn't even think knew me that well enough to have my back. And they did. And that impressed on me more than the other ones upset me at all. I know that as generous of a person as I am, I'm not going to get that back from most people. I know that a lot of relationships I'm going to have are going to be, somewhat one-sided, and I don't care because I take pleasure in helping people and stuff like that. I don't care. Of course, if I feel someone's using me, I'm done. I walk away. I'm not in the situation. But I've had people, including my wife, be like, "Don't you, you keep getting burned by different people. When are you going to change?" And it's like, I'm not.
There's no point.
This is who I am, and if I let a bad person change who I am, just because I lost some money or some time, then I might as well just give up on everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if I know you do. You're one of the reasons. A lot of people. When I first met you, you had a very rough exterior to a certain degree. Although deep down inside, I could sense that you're a very family oriented person when we talk about family, we're talking about this brotherhood of guys and people that we love and we stick with, and that's really, and they don't have to be blood related. I don't believe that family's blood all the time.
Oh, I have a quote on my back that's in Latin. I can never pronounce it correctly, but basically it is the true, and it took a long time to find out how to say this correctly. But if you were in ancient, if you're in the old times and speaking actually in Latin, how would you tell somebody that, you know, you don't have to be blood to be family? And the quote breaks down as to the bonds of familiarity are not bound by blood.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And it's, you know, there's a group of people that have it tattooed on them, and it doesn't just extend to those people. I mean, those people are very close to my heart and always will be. But the people that I choose, like you and a few other people that I choose to, you know, constantly associate around, people have proven to me that, you know, they've been there for me. I had an issue with my son. My son was going down a lot of wrong paths a while back and I mean, my he's 18 now. But he was getting to a point where it was just like, hey, dude, you're kind of becoming a piece of shit. This is how you want to be when you turn 18. I'm still going to pay, you know, everything until you're 18. When you turn 18, just forget my number, because I don't need people like you in my life. If that's the kind of person you're going to be, I just don't need you in my life.
What did he say?
And he kind of looked at me and he was like, well, what about, you know, he's like, well, all your friends aren't the best people. I was like, no, but they all mean well.
Yeah, there's no bad intentions.
Complete screw ups. I mean, from the ground up screw ups, but they mean well and they're loyal.
You see, I believe that go ahead.
Because they haven't succeeded at everything they've tried, and, you know, they just haven't found their niche yet.
We are not our experiences. That's just what we do and what we've done. We are who we really are is on the inside. It's based on our intentions. It's based on the energy. And so just because you fumble around a little bit in life don't mean shit. I mean, some of the best people I know, probably many people would probably think they're, you know, shady, but I know who they are. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And that's, and there's a couple of people, he was actually trying to speak bad upon, and you know, Mark. Mm-hmm. Mark's
he's a good guy.
And he's a great guy. He's going through physical. He's going to be a physical therapist, and he's doing great in school. I think he just passed one of his big boards, and he's doing awesome. But when he was, when he was the intel end of his Marine Corps career and stuff like that, he was a screw up. He's not a bad guy. He's just a goofball that literally had no direction at the time. And he'd tell you that he was the most immature person you'd ever met. Like, he was real, this is who I am. But he was also one of the most loyal. We'd been through some shit together.
He was with us on that drunk excursion at that club when you carried me out, I think.
No, he wasn't there at that one. I think the last time you saw him was my wedding. He was the one that looked like a Taliban member.
That's right.
Mark's one of and out of the group that group that I call the family. I think I've tried to stop every single person in there at one point or another, at least half of them, from kicking Mark's ass. If he wanted to rub you the wrong way, he would, and if he saw he was under your skin, he was just gonna keep pushing. But he's turned out, he's got 2 beautiful kids, got an amazing, gorgeous wife. He's happy, he's doing excellent. I mean, I'm super proud of him. I mean, everybody from that group is, in one way or another, doing awesome. I mean, a couple have gone on to be cops. Super proud of them. One's got he graduated with a double degree. He's now living in Nashville, working for Ford, and he's kicking ass, and he's doing great things. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things anymore.
Okay.
I mean, you more than me and you used to when it comes to certain things. But just like with me and you, he knows it's nothing but love. I got a little lippy on this post not too long ago. He had a post that rubbed me the wrong way, and I said something, and he actually tried to call me a keyboard tough guy, and so I just posted my address and asked him, to let me know when you're outside. I just had to shut down the post because we do know each other well enough he knows that I'd have no problem getting into a fight. We'll have a beer afterwards. But.
I'm a firm believer that a lot of people put a lot of credibility in family, like blood family, and I think blood family is wonderful because I love my family that I'm directly blood related to. But I actually put sometimes a little bit more credibility in the people that I call my family, who I know, because when we choose somebody, just like if you are adopting somebody, you choose this child, or you choose these friends, you choose this family. When you choose them, it's your choice. That means that I made the choice, and they've made the choice, and that's to me more important because I didn't choose my mom.
I don't. Well, I told this kind of goes along the lines of what I was telling my son. I was like, I love you to death. I always will, but I choose who's in my family, and I choose who I take care of, and I choose who I look after. And once you're 18 and I'm not legally bound to you, you're either going to be a good person or you're not going to be in my life.
Right.
That's just where it is. If and I don't mean not screwing up. I mean not having shitty intentions, not being, a mooch on society. Going out and as long as you're trying, I got your back, 100%. But if you're not trying and you want to blame the world for all your problems and woe's me, and then try to do stupid shit with ill intentions, nah, man, you can go over there, do your own thing, and just stay the fuck out of my life. And I have no problems because to me, DNA doesn't really mean a lot. DNA means absolutely nothing to me. I love my parents. I got two great parents. My mom and me can fight like cats and dogs, but she's always means well.
Right.
We may not get along.
Your mom's a trip. Your mom's a trip sometimes.
That's actually not another show. That's me in therapy for a lot of years. But I love her to death, and she does mean well. We fight like you'd swear one of us is going to kill the other one. But we're both real pagan. But I get a lot of who I am from my mother. I don't have her. And I get a lot of who I am from not being like her. My mom can't go. My mom, sadly, and it breaks my heart. My mom holds on to every negative thing that's ever happened in her life.
Some people like that. That's probably her generation too, right?
I think it's her generation. I think it's also a little bit being British at that time. I mean, she was born right at the tail end of the war.
But she was born there, right? She was born in England.
Yeah. Even my half brother was born in London. I was the first one born here.
Okay.
No, she holds on to so much negativity that I honestly don't know if I've ever seen my mom go a full day, like a full, 12-hour day happy.
Oh, really?
It's hard. I've offered to go to counseling with her. I've offered to check into counseling with her. Like, do whatever she needs to do. I just want to see my mom be happy and get through some shit. And I think she needs counseling to get through some of the shit that she's gone through. My mom's not always had the easiest life. So, she is an absolute warrior. She is a lot of the reason I always had food on my plate as a kid. Her work ethic is why I have the work ethic I have. My mom busted her fucking ass. I mean, the post office literally physically broke her down after 26 years. I'm talking dozens of surgeries since.
Oh, wow.
Wrists, ankles, shoulders, back, neck.
She used to deliver the mail? Is that what she did?
26 years.
Oh, wow.
Destroyed her.
Oh, wow. I knew a couple of people that did that. It's a hard job walking all day and doing all that stuff.
Well, she was always in a Jeep. I mean, but the carrying, the casing, she had carpal tunnel both wrists, torn rotator cuff in the one arm. Her neck has been degenerative disease and everything from turning like that with your head.
I think you told me at your wedding. I said, "Hey man, your mom's cool. She's nice," and you said something like, "I think." Wait till she has a couple drinks or something like that.
That's because my mom's not a happy drunk. You've seen me drunk. I become the most giggly person in the
You're
world.
You're a cool dude.
I want to go get a bitch trip and run them up. I'm the guy that totally will, wake up in Vegas be in New York and wake up in Vegas. Like, let's just go and have a good time. My mom, the negativity, like that builds up when she drinks.
Some people are mean drunks.
And it's not just so much mean, just very negative, very sour, and it's just hard to be around her when she's like that.
That hurts my ears, man.
I owe my mom so much. My mom's taken care of me. My mom's helped me through so much, especially financially. But she's a trip in the sense of like I can never. I'd love to see her do something and be happy. I mean,
Well, as I told you years ago, happiness is our choice, man. And for whatever reasons, she has her own reasons, and they're her right reasons to have. We choose the perspective that we have, and we. Funny thing is, I think that a lot of people don't realize they make that choice. They think and they use their life experiences as the excuse why, but that's still a choice. You know, it's still,
Yeah.
you know, and so it may seem like, it may feel like at times for some people that it's not much of a choice, that they don't have a choice. But in reality,
I don't know, and maybe it's you're right about her generation and not knowing how to, you know, our generation, or at least my generation. I'm going to assume the tail end of your generation was where people started learning to talk about stuff.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
try to work through things. And I think her generation just always shut it away.
well, you know, my mother came from the baby boomer generation, so to speak, and I got really lucky because my mother rewarded my brother and I, my twin brother and I, for talking about our feelings. This is going to sound bizarre to you, and it was bizarre to my girlfriend when I told her this, that when I grew up in my household with my mother, I never heard an ounce of criticism from my mother. She never criticized. She never raised her voice. I don't ever remember her raising her voice. All I ever heard was consideration, love, and empathy for my mother, and encouragement. Now, she was tough, but she didn't. It was done in such a really constructive way. So, and it's the kind, and so I know I'm reflective of this. So I always turn to the positive. I know I know what you made comment about my utopiastic ideas, and it's because of these lenses that I see my life through, and I see life through, and it's really absolutely due to my mother. Now, my mother didn't grow up that way. My grandmother was a little bit more probably like your mother, but not, I wouldn't say she was negative, but she was more critical, and she absolutely had a little bit more a different perspective. But that pushed my mother to do that. And so my mother was a product of like the 60s, and she was an adult, and I was born like in 70.
I think because my mom was a product of the end of World War II,
Yeah.
and you know, her family not having a lot of money. Anything you did needed to have a purpose.
Oh, okay.
She's never understood me being involved in a lot of the activities I've been involved with, from bodybuilding to Thai boxing to even back when I was up and I raced motocross. She never saw there was not a purpose. There wasn't going to do me something better later on in life, and everything around. And my mom's one of these people that structures everything to where, you know, there's something at the end. I mean, my mom's one of those people that she can put away money, but she's always broke. She'll never. Yeah, my mom could have $1 million in the bank. She'd never feel like she had any money. And I honestly believe she feels that way. I don't believe that it's her just saying that. I believe that no matter what she has squirreled away or what, she's always worried about running out of money. Her dad's a real bad gambler, horse and dog track, from what I've been told. I only met my grandfather once. He was really nice when I met him. He came out and spent a couple weeks with us. I drank tea and watched up with him.
He's gone now, right?
Yeah. I don't have any grandparents left.
Okay.
But you know, I obviously knew him as a very old man. I didn't grow up in a house where he was the one making the income, but he blew a lot of his money gambling. And, you know, my mom grew up very poor, and, you know, something about, and I've been told this by other people whose families are British, and I don't want to overstate because I don't have that many references to this, but it just seems like a lot of the ones I do all have the same. British people always want to act like they're better off than they are.
Oh.
And I don't mean by spending money. I just mean by how they carry themselves. You know,
maybe it has something to do with status. And
my mom, you know, like if she watches this and she hears me, you know, in their estate earlier that I had bad drug addictions, I'm going to get a call and she's going to yell at me for making her look bad because she's a drug addict. It's how everything looks on her and how she raised me. Not that, you know, I
think she did a great job.
I think she did too, but, you know, and I bet you she'd tell you the same thing. But she doesn't want anybody to know anything about the bad shit in my life that's gone on in my life, the bad shit I've done in my life.
Oh. Well, the truth is, my mother.
I sat at a table with people, and someone brought up addiction, and I started talking. And my mom literally like changed the subject, and when it was brought back up, she acted like she didn't know that I had been a drug addict. My mom actually one of the people that helped me get my life together, and it's just like, where the fuck did that come from? Mom, addiction runs rampant in our family. Like, let's just put it out on the table.
Well, you know, the truth is
not to be addicted to something.
The truth is that every family has some kind of dysfunction. Like we're all dysfunctional in some way of some sorts.
I think if you didn't have some type of dysfunction, you would you wouldn't know how to deal with the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Our trials and tribulations in life way more made us who we are than our triumphs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well,
I mean, I've never learned shit from winning. I've learned a lot from losing.
That's right. Well, I think
I'm gonna go back to your thing that we've had arguments about before. If you get a trophy for losing, you don't learn nothing.
Right. Well,
you learn because you didn't get the trophy. You went out and bust your ass to get it next time.
Absolutely. I agree with the fact that that there's value in the contrast of our life, in the rough stuff, in the struggle of life. There's that contrast, that element of our life is just as valuable, if not more valuable, than when we win and then when we do it right. I've said it. We've talked about this before. I don't know about participation trophies. I don't think that as long as I think that.
If you're proud of a participation trophy, you're a fucking pussy.
I think that it's. I think that children, like for instance, children should be recognized for the effort, but you shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't. You should be recognized for winning.
No, well, if
you didn't win,
let me qualify that.
Don't go out and work harder to become better.
Well, no, let me qualify that. It's not to say that we shouldn't award the winners and the people who are excelling. Absolutely should, because that is an accomplishment, and we need to incentivize the ones who aren't or underperforming. But I do think that we need to. In the way that I think that incentives work is that they should motivate, right? So if an award, and I think this should be done individually. Like I don't think that we should give necessary participation awards for like playing sports and stuff. I don't know if that's a good idea. I just don't think that incentivizes. I think you need to have. I think it works to have somebody get their asses kicked. Was that?
I grew up racing dirt bikes, and in motocross, typically the way it is, for every 3 riders in a class, there's 1 trophy. So if there's 4 riders, there's only 1. First place is the only one that gets a trophy. If there's 7 riders, first and second get blah, 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 blah. My first race, I got 4th out of 5, and only because some kid crashed because I sucked. I was horrible. Couple months later goes by, I'm on a gate of like 15 people, and I got 6th. I missed a trophy by 1 spot. You know what it did? Yeah, it bummed me out for a minute, but then it made me go and try that much harder.
Right.
Within a few weeks, I was getting up there and I was getting trophies. And within a few weeks after that, this trophy wasn't big enough. I needed that next one. And that's what drove me. And if I had won that trophy that first day, that first race, I wouldn't have put in the effort that I put in because I got the trophy. I got the award.
Right. Well, I remember when I was like 11, I was in a swim team. And I remember we had our first meet, and I got second place in the backstroke. That was my best stroke, and I got second place. But but it was second place to my brother, so he got first. He beat me by fucking literally I still chaps my ass today by a fucking 1/10 of a second, right? I'm like I still to this day, man, I swear I fucking touched that wall before he did, but. They said that I didn't, so I got the second place. And I remember sitting in that car, man. I'm 11 years old, sitting in that car, looking at my fucking. It was a ribbon, and I fucking ripped it up, man. I ripped that shit up. I was like, I got in so much trouble with my aunt, and my mom. Shit, I got a spanking for that shit. I was like, but I remember, but it made me go back. It made me go back, man. I was like, I'm not gonna lose my brother again, man. I'm not gonna lose my brother again. He was the only one I gave a fuck about. I didn't care about the other motherfuckers.
Some years ago, that it was either Masters or it's the North Americans. Missed their pro card and threw their trophies in the trash backstage, and there was a big to-do about it.
Who did that? I can't remember. I remember that. Yes, shit, that happened a couple times. I think
Me and you talked about it.
Yeah, I can't remember who that was.
I think it was Masters. I think was it? The dude that does all the training. What the hell was his name? My brain's going dead. Older guy that just trains like an absolute madman. Took him forever to get his pro card, even though a lot of people thought he would get it sooner.
Oh man, do you remember what he looks like? Because there's so many guys that run through my head.
Looks like a bulldog. Looks like a bulldog. I think it's actually something like mountain dog training or something. You're talking
about John Meadows.
Yeah, I think it was him. It might have been him.
But he was never a poor sport. He was never.
That was when I was still learning who people were, and I guess I don't know John at all, and I know. You know,
yeah,
if I'm wrong about who it was, I apologize.
He would,
but I was very out of character for him.
Yeah, I don't think that was him. It was somebody else. I remember this event. John's always been a good sport. As a matter of fact, when he did get his pro card,
like I said, it could have been. I just remember it being. And I remember he was one of the ones fighting for him back then. Man, but I really didn't know who he was at the time. I was still learning a lot of the people. Like,
John was.
I know I've tried to do some of his workouts and almost died.
Yeah. Well, John and I competed with each other forever. And John is a good guy. He really is a good guy. And it wasn't him though, but when he did eventually get his pro card, I think it was at the Team Universe, he won fucking everything. It was like, I remember going to him backstage and he said, "Hey, take a look." I looked at him and I'm like, "Hey man, hit a couple shots." He hit a couple shots. I'm like, and I just knew, I'm like, "Dude, you're going to smoke this." And he won Masters 35, Masters 40, his class and the overall in both of them. And but in previous years, yeah, he was getting like second and third. He was just barely missing it. Nobody, and it was tough. And I think he almost gave up several times. Every year was like, "I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. And it's rough. It's a tough road. This sport the sport of bodybuilding, as you know, is really, really not easy. I was the same way. Because I competed.
I know. I was there.
Yeah, I know.
I was there. I've been at a couple of your shows. I've walked you up to you right after prejudging. Saw how you looked at one show, and looked at you, and I went, "So, how'd it go?" And you went, and I went, "Well, yeah, you look like shit."
Sometimes
you just looked at me and went, "Yeah." And it was because you tried to shrink down too much.
Yeah, I know. We live and learn, and that's just what happens.
That picture you posted today, the one of the photo shoot.
Right.
What class was that? Was that light heavy?
That was a light heavy. I was light heavy in that one too. Yeah, but that was
like the best as far as like aesthetically pleasing physique I've ever seen on you.
That one, that was a light heavy. If I remember correctly, that was a day and a half before the show. And I did well. I don't remember exactly how I placed. That was the last year. It was in what was it? Cleveland, when they had it in Cleveland. And that was a fun show. I mean, I always enjoyed competing. For me, it was always about me trying to get that pro card, me trying to look as great as I possibly could. If I didn't win, hey man, like I did. As you know, I didn't even keep most of my trophies because I didn't care about the trophies. But in retrospect, this journey's been so wonderful for me, the sport, and I have and I try to instill in my athletes this sort of perspective, because when you're in the middle of it, like I was for so many years, you can get fucked up in the head. It can really, really, really sort of taint your perspective, and you can miss out on all the great stuff. Because I look back now, and it's not when I won. It's not, and I won quite a bit. It's not when I won that I remember. As a matter of fact, I barely remember those nights. But I do remember the journeys. I do remember the process. I do remember the late night cardios, the early morning cardios, the dieting, all the friendships that I made, all the great going out, working out, seeing my body change. I remember all that stuff. That's the stuff that I cling on to today. And I'm like, man, that's the good stuff.
100%. That's the stuff that I love. And you've been there when you were my coach and stuff like that. And you've seen it where, I get docked for my tattoos by some judges. I mean, I've gotten beat by people that didn't have abs and that shit. But I had to learn to remind myself a long time ago at something that I tell. I've only coached a few people, and my wife being the most successful out of all of them, she killed it at everything she's ever done. But the same thing I told her for her very, very first show is, do you look better than when you started this journey?
Mm-hmm. It's all that matters.
One, fuck the $6 trophy. Fuck the opinion of those people sitting down there, because who really gives a shit? Right now, what you did is you paid a lot of money to show off what you did. Go show it off. And if you get a trophy, cool. If you don't, who cares? And now your next show, do you look better than your last show? And as long as you did that, then you did what you did, and you did what you came to do. Wherever you placed means nothing. as long as you're progressing.
Right, absolutely. And that's kind of like that way for just about anything in life. I mean, as long as we're moving forward, we could, like you were saying before, it doesn't matter if you screw up or fumble around in your life. Same thing goes true. It's all the same analogy that we're not just an amalgamation of our experiences. That's just what we do. That's just what we've done or what we do. It's not really who we are. Who we are is so much more than that. And this is really a big part of going back to the original story about some of my when I hit my low points and suicide attempt the last time. It's that I came out of it with this, that we're not really this sort of and this collection of experiences. It is part of our experience in this life, but it's not who we are. And a lot of people, this is a funny thing, because when I in the last several years, last probably 3 or 4 years, it's been very powerful for me to really get my mind around this idea that I used to define myself by all these experiences, like my bodybuilding, my wife, my marriage, my relationships, my money, my cars, my houses, all this stuff. And that's not who you are. That's just kind of what you have, what you've experienced, who you're with. But that isn't really who you are. And it's so important to really, I say this to everybody, the reason why people walk around, there's so much, as a matter of fact, when you look at the statistics of what's going on, at least in North America, depression and anxiety are rampant. It's like 70% of the population has some form of it. And that's what you go in. When you go into the doctors, my girlfriend's a doctor, my ex-wife was a nurse practitioner, and 60 to 70% of what walks in the door, it's one of those two things, depression or anxiety, that they're looking for a cure for, so to speak. And why? Well, it's because people are defining themselves so heavily by their experience. Like, this is what I've done, this is what I've accomplished, and it's not meeting up to their standard or their expectations of their life. And that is, and it's because they're defining themselves that way. And that's a flaw. If you're in for it, everyone's capable of doing it. If you're more than likely to do it, that's fine, and you're welcome to do it. But the problem is that it's going to run you into some problems.
I think in my personal experience, I think surroundings have a lot to do with that. Because when I was living in Miami, and obviously I was making pretty good money when I was down there, I fell into it. I mean, I was driving the ultra luxury car and the Rolex watch, and I mean, I've always liked nice watches and stuff, but I was living in. I had to have the condo on the beach, and it's part of the reason I moved here to Kentucky is to simplify my life, dude. But I'm happier here with my truck than I ever was driving.
You had those.
My old
imports
boss,
too.
$250 Bentley.
Do you still have the imports, the racing cars?
I have my Evo, but that car was in a wreck, and over a year ago, and we're still waiting to have it. It's still not fixed. The body shop that took care of it, I don't know what all I'm allowed to say, because actually there's legal actions going against them and the insurance company. So I'll actually back out of this, since I don't know what I'm supposed to or allowed to say. That's all being dealt with by attorneys.
But you still have it.
Well, I'm still making payments on it. I haven't touched the car in a year. And it should have been totaled, and it hasn't been. And it's been this long, miserable, dragged out to where would
you get in an accident or something? I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, I rear-ended somebody on the freeway in traffic. Like, it was only bad because when I tried to turn away to get away from the accident, and he had already locked up his brakes, the corner of my car hit his tow hitch, which is the strongest point of the back of any vehicle, hit the wheel, and it folded the wheel up underneath the front of the car. All the suspension and everything right there was just destroyed.
Were you going fast?
No, we were going maybe 25, 30 miles an hour.
Oh, geez.
But it's just that direct, I don't even know how to show it, but just how it hit.
Just
the force got. Well, because you got to think of the tow hitch coming back at an angle, all the force got driven right into that pinpoint of all that speed. And just it came through, hit the wheel, and folded everything up. His vehicle wasn't even hardly, a couple $1,000 worth of body damage. Grace Cup body panels. He was fine. My car should have been totaled, and they didn't. And that's where we're at. And here we are, 13 months later, and it's still not finished. And they're still supposedly parts are back ordered from Mitsubishi. I don't know all this shit. But yeah, I have a 2014 Lancer Evolution that It's got some work done to it. It's putting about 400 to the wheels, 400 pounds of torque.
Wow.
So I mean, it's fast and it's fun. When I was living in Miami, we changed the plates. I just had the plates say, eats V8s. And other than one time against a GT3 and one time against a GTR, I pretty much smashed every, pasta rocket out there.
But you like all that stuff, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I like cars in general. I mean, I've had 60s Cadillacs. I've had airbagged trucks.
Okay, so what's your favorite car to date that you've had? What's the, like, in your mind, like, of all the cars you've had, past, present, what's the next car that you think, okay, this will be my dream, not my dream car, but
my favorite cars that I've had have been my favorite car is anything between a 65 and a 68 Cadillac. I actually have the 66, which is my first car, is tattooed across my chest. The grill is. Yeah, that's the Escalade logo, but yeah, I have the 66 coupe front end across my chest. Those are my favorite, and I will have another one of those. The next car I'm probably going to buy, actually I'm going to I'm buying a Toyota mini truck off of a buddy of mine in California. I'm going to finish it. It's a 98 Toyota Tacoma. Extended cab. It's all custom. The whole frame's been redone. It's all custom, so it's airbagged, and it's probably about 75-80% done. It's probably a couple $1,000s for the work just to get it running.
You don't do the work, do you?
I do some of the work. I don't do the welding. So I need someone to finish up the welding, but I can do like all the motor stuff and all that. I used to be able to weld, and I think about a year ago I tried to weld again, and that's definitely something. If you don't use it, you lose it. I have a lot of respect for guys that can do, and I mean, to weld frames and stuff like that and do beautiful welds like that when you're MIG welding and TIG welding. Those guys are not just good at what they do, but they're almost artists of their own. So I have a lot of respect for them. So that's probably the next project after that. Probably another Cadillac.
I think my favorite. I've had a lot of cars. I've had a lot of cars, and I like sports cars. Like convertibles and all that stuff, and I've always loved that stuff. But my favorite car, ironically, and I never would have thought this to be the case, my favorite was my Hummer. I had an H2 Hummer, and here's why: because it was comfortable, it was easy to drive, and it was just like I could fit in it nice, and it was just it felt like me, and I never considered myself a truck person.
That's how I feel. Like I right now I have a 2012 GMC Sierra, and it's the exact same body style as the 07 I had years ago, and I just jump in it. It's the most comfortable. It drives good. I just, as far as a daily driver, I don't think I'll ever get away from a truck again. There's really no reason. I mean, they make a 4-door truck, so
I kind of wish I still had my H2. It was black, it had chrome, and it was really nice. It was all carbon fiber on the inside. It's
a little hard for them to get nowadays.
It was all Escalade stuff.
No, I'm talking about the fact that Hummer went out of business.
Well, I know, but they didn't. Isn't all their parts like? It was all like Hummer. It was all like Escalade stuff. All Escalade parts for the most part.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I know that. All I know is it was my favorite. It still is. I kind of wish that I still had it because it was so nice. It was so easy. But I sold it, and I actually made money on it, believe it or not. And that was kind of a crappy thing. I remember I had it for like 4 years. And then I was wanted to get a new car. I got what did I get? Oh, I got the Mercedes S550 and a little convertible. Cool, loved it. Black, berry red interior, fucking awesome. I love that car. I had two of those.
That's the car you had when I met you.
Yep. Well, no, that was my second one. You met me when I had my second one. I had one before that, and then I remember when I sold it, I wanted to trade it in, and the guy was like, they were like, "Oh, we can't make money on the SUVs. We lose money." I'm like, "You fucking kidding me? It's got 30,000 miles on it or less, and 4 years old, not a dent, not a scratch. It's fucking mint condition. It's got all the extras." I'm like, "No way, forget it." And I was like, "I'll sell it and I'll make money." He's like, "Good luck." I sold it, made $5,000.
Well, I mean, the salesman was trying to make money.
Of course he was. I get it, but he don't need to lie to me. So,
Well, I mean, what's he supposed to tell you? Hey, no, I ain't giving you that because I want to make money.
No, he could say he could have said, "Hey, look, we need to make this on it. If you're going to trade it in, we need to make this on it."
Most people say, "No, you don't need to make that much."
I know, and I know you had your stint with some car stuff.
You can't make that much, and you believe him. That's how he sells a car. Yeah, I used to do car sales and car finance also.
Yeah, so he could have told me, he could have been honest, and I would have probably said, you know what, I'll make that sacrifice because it's easy. But instead, he pissed me off, and I was like, "Fuck you!
Okay,
I'll go sell this motherfucker and make money on it."
Be honest, dude. As a salesman, you got to play to your audience, and
he didn't play.
But I'm gonna use terminology from the industry and say that basically he was either having an off day or he was a weak suck salesman. Those kind of guys.
He was a weak suck salesman.
And I after being in the industry, like when I go buy a vehicle, and I did finance was where I made most of my money in cars. And you go into the finance department, you tell them, "Hey, yes, I used to do this. There's a couple things I'm interested in, but you're going to have to price them right. So I'm not going to make you give them away, but you're going to have to price them right." Here's the thing: no finance guy wants to blank in the back, meaning make no profit.
Of course not. I wouldn't expect that.
Free. You only make money on unless you have a guarantee, you only make money on what you sell in profit. And I'm willing to let them make a small profit. But if you start lying to me, kind of like what you just said, because I know the difference, I don't buy anything. Print my papers, let me sign them. And there better not be anything on line fucking 2. I know.
What's line 2?
Line 2 is where all the add-ons are.
Oh, okay.
Everything they added to your vehicle, like a lot of places nowadays try to force you to pay $495 for they call it interior exterior protection. Oh, it's already on the vehicles. We have to charge everybody for. No, you don't. It costs you about $35 fucking dollars. Fuck you. You're not forcing me to pay for it. No. You're not forcing me to add something onto the back end so you can make a profit. You can go to hell. If you want to sell it to me for $150, I'll take it. No, dude. I mean, in industry, it's called mop and slop. Interior, exterior protection. When you have it, it's worth having as long as you buy it right. Because if you damage some sun damages the paint or something happens to the interior, they do take care of it. The company's really good about what it does. But you're not gonna force feed me something with a profit already built in.
Right. All I wanted him to do was be honest with me. That's all I ever asked when I go, just be honest, man. Like, if you want to make some money, I get it, but don't lie to me, because if you have to lie to me, that means that that kind of dishonesty, it just tells me that you're trying to rip me off for more money than I can get.
Well, that's their job.
I get it, and they're not going to make that. That's not a job they can get on me.
Well, see that how do you know that unless you try?
Well, that's true, but when I think that you can be honest. Like, I'm up front.
Well, here's the thing: a good salesperson can read their client,
right?
And you become who that client wants you to be. First off, with you, I wouldn't try to sell you shit at first. I'd try to become your friend.
Yeah, you probably.
I can sell you whatever the fuck I want.
You probably and you'd be right. Absolutely. I just want a person who I can.
Good at what I did. I was really, really good at what I did.
I remember when you told me you used to sell that, and you told me that you left that because you just couldn't handle ripping people off.
What happened is in finance, and I was working for a Mitsubishi store at the time, and they had that 000 for a year thing. It was 0 down, 0 accumulated interest, 0 payments for 1 year, and it was either a 9.9 it was 9.9 or a 10.9 for that was the interest rate if it kicked in a year later. And the way we would get people off on it, you'd have a couple come in, they'd be looking at a base model Galant or a Lancer or something like that, and they'd want to be at a $350 payment, which on one of those cars with a little bit of down, it's not a real hard thing to do. They'd come back to me and I tell them, you got to protect this car. And a lot of this isn't bullshit. So it's just how much I was charging was not bullshit, but that's how I made a living. And you get them to buy the alarm, you get them to buy the warranty, you get them to buy the interior protectant, you get them to buy the other anti-theft devices you have, like LoJack or whatever. You get them to buy gap insurance, which they were always going to need because most of these people were never going to make these payments. But this young couple who's buying their first car and they want to be at a $350 payment because that's what they know they can afford, and I roll them out the door at $700 a month. And I would have them so over allowed, I would have to get special permission to get the financing done. And you get them telling you, I know you're going to be responsible and you're going to make, at least minimal payments, like $500 a month for the next 12 months. And then you're going to refinance that. You're going to come back here, you're going to refinance that with one of my credit unions. But I can get you all the way down to a 4.9 for 60 months, which was true if you had made those payments. If you weren't upside down in the vehicle, because they will only loan 120% of value.
Right.
Well, I'd sold them so much shit in the back end, even if they'd made $1,000 payments, they were never going to be right. They were never going to be able to do what I told them to. And I knew it. And my GM at the time, my GSM at the time, used to, like, we always used to walk to the curb, because in California, you have a right of rescission until the front tires hit the curb. It's not your car. If there's a little white piece, it's called basically like the bill of sale thing that they tape inside the window and inside the windshield. If that's in the car and those tires hit the curb, you have no legal right to return that car. There's no buyer's remorse in California. You have no legal right. The second those tires hit the curb, that's your car. Period. And we'd all, hey, it's got a full tank gas. We had it cleaned up for you. You guys have to say, you guys say blah, 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 and then roll them out. And as soon as they'd hit the thing, Steven, my GSM, used to turn around, pat me on the shoulder and go, oh, there's another car no one's ever going to make a payment on.
So what happens to the car? What happens to the...
They end up in repo.
Do they ever call back and go, hey, man, we can't do this. What do we do?
It's not my problem at that point. That's between them and Mitsubishi Motor Credit.
Wow. So you quit because you just couldn't do that anymore?
Once you've signed those papers and I send all the docs off, it's not in my hands anymore.
So did you just feel remorseful, or you just feel like, hey man, I don't like...
You know that you just screwed up two people's lives. You just fucked their credit.
Right.
Not right then and there, but sometime within the next 18 to 24 months, they're going to have back.
That's a time bomb going to be about ready to go off in about 6 months.
And here's the thing, you're being patted on the back for doing it. You're being told what a great salesman, great car guy, blah, blah, blah. And I started drinking. And I started showing up to work drunk. And it didn't affect my ability to sail. If anything, I got better. And everybody knew I was drunk. Nobody said a fucking word. Nobody said a word.
Because you were selling.
I was drinking. I was doing drugs at work. I wasn't like, I held it together. Clients had no idea. I pulled my shit together. I was, banging girls that worked there. And just overall running amok. But I was doing so. I was averaging, I think, $2,400 a car back-end profit at a Mitsubishi store, which back then was unheard of. All my paper got hung, meaning I never had a deal I never unwound a deal, ever. I got everything bought. So, even if you weren't going through Mitsubishi, I had my secondary lenders, and I knew how to work them and work with them. And
Wow.
I was actually sleeping with two of the girls from the secondary lenders so I could get their deals done. Because what it is they come out and they take you to dinner and wine you and dine you and show you what their new interest rates and all this other shit's going to be.
They want you to use them as a lender.
And so that way they can sell you so that you send them deals. Right. Well, what it is, these are your secondary lenders, your people with not so great credit, all the way down to shit credit. So, and that's where you can also make interest rate. You can make up to 3 points of interest where you get profit off the interest rate on some of those. And so I would take them in, take these deals, and I'd take 2 bad deals, 2 straight credit criminals, and 3 good deals or 4 good deals. And I'd call one of the girls. I'm not going to mention names and stuff because I don't want shit to get dragged up, and I'm not going to mention companies, but I'd call so-and-so lending and be like, hey, I got these 2 fucking credit criminals, and I got 3 other deals that I need them all bought as is, no stipulations, meaning You can't ask me for proof of income. You need to buy them exactly how I have them structured. If they have proof of income in there, great. If they don't, you can't ask for it. You have to buy them exactly how they are. Because, like, I wouldn't have proof of income on one of them or something like that. And I'd get told, okay, cool, we're going to meet at this restaurant 7:30 tomorrow night. So we'd meet, I'd, do a straight handoff of the deals. They're just copies. So they had them. They had to approve everything right then and there at dinner. Some drinks. Next thing you know, you're at a hotel. I was 20 years old, 21 years old at this point. So I'm loving every bit of this because both girls were beautiful. And it was just how I got one of the ways I got things done. I could get deals bought that other people couldn't, mainly because I was sleeping with the girls. Turns out one of them was married. I get a call from her one day, and it's her husband. And even you who know me real well have no idea how cocky I was at 20, 21 years old. I believe I told him, well, if you're screwing her right at home, she would be calling me, and hung up. Didn't even think, and honestly didn't think nothing about it. I was so screwed up doing so.
You were a motherfucker.
Like, I literally put my phone back. This is the days of the flip phone. And, put your phone back in your pocket. I didn't even fucking think about it again.
So then you got out, though.
Well, I got to work that day, and my old boss, the owner of the company, calls me up and goes, "Are you having an affair with so and so?" I was like, "Well, I can't really have an affair with anybody because I'm not nobody, but she's having an affair with me, yeah." And I said, "I thought a long time ago we agreed you weren't going to ask me how I did what I do. So might want to just leave things alone." And I was making him so much money. This guy who was very hardcore Christian, like born again Christian, and very, very devout, who had me and him had a run-in before that. There were some shady contracts that had gone out, and knock on wood, the statute of limitations all run out on that. There were some shady contracts that had gone out, and he'd called me about something, and we got into it. I just basically told him, "You're the last signature on every one of those deals, which means you're ultimately liable. So you can either pay me what you're supposed to pay me," and I wasn't asking for anything extra. I just want to be paid fair what was agreed upon. Or I can turn over everything I know to the DMV, and you can get a federal charge against you, and
Does that happen a lot? Does that kind of stuff happen a lot in the car industry?
Car industry is the dirtiest industry in the world. Gotten a lot better.
I've heard that by more than one person.
It's gotten a lot better, I would assume, because now, like, they're required to. You're on video, so you can't lie to people.
Oh, right.
Like, back then there's no video cameras there. Shit, I lied every damn day. I lied through my damn teeth. That's why I was so good at what I did. But I could tell a lie and make you believe it. Especially if I soused, apparently.
So why? What was the underlying reason why you chose, like, hey man, I'm done?
I was still getting tattooed, and I was actually having my left sleeve worked on, and two of the guys that were at the shop that were doing it, including the guy that was doing my tattoo, a guy named Mike Ferguson, great friend of mine. I've learned so much from Mike over the years. Awesome person. He wanted to open a shop, and at that point I wasn't a tattoo artist. I was just a piercer and body modification guy. And I'd, stepped away from the industry for a little bit, and he's like, "Dude, you're miserable." He's like, "Come over here. Let's open this shop together." And I said, first off, the shop that I was being tattooed in, I had quit before, and I didn't think me and the owner were on good terms. So I'm like, he's not going to let you hire me. He's like, "I'll hire whoever I want." He got me hired. I started working there. And then we opened the other shop. And basically, right before this all happened, I was one of two finance people that wanted to be the finance director of that dealership. I was literally killing the other person in every category, but I'd only been doing it for about 7 or 8 months, I think, at the time. But I literally got her paperwork hung that she had. She had paperwork that was actually, I think one of the contracts was 120 days old, which usually you're fucked. But I did what I did, and I got her shit hung, and I took care of everything. And I remember going into the meeting with all the managers, and I called a meeting. I said, "Well, here's how it is. I'm killing it. and I'm tired of being one of two. I want to be the director. I want the main job. I want to make all the money. This is the guarantee I want. This is all within fair. Either give it to me or I walk today. And basically, it was a 6-figure guarantee, and it was, but I was worth it. I was making that kind of money. And including the guy that taught me how to do finance, my GSM, Steven, all actually kind of turned on me. And you haven't been doing that long. Just stick around a little bit longer, and we'll see maybe down the road, and blah 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 blah. And only this one desk guy, Gary, only him backed me. And I turned around, I walked over to the board, I pulled my sales license off the board, and I walked out. Didn't say a word to nobody. Like, all right, fuck y'all, I'm out. I'm gonna go over to the tattoo shop. Funny enough, about 3-4 months later, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I was told it did secondhand. The place obviously wasn't doing anywhere near as well. They fired every manager except for Gary.
Wow.
The one guy that backed me up, my old GSM actually reached out to me. He ended up at a Kia store, and he reached out to me to come work for him. And the very first thing I did when I quit was I went to the shop. It was Ink Sanity where I was working at the time, and I don't remember which. I think it's this side of my neck. I had Mike blast the whole side of my neck, all the way up behind my ear, everything. Yeah, it's this side. And I did that so that I couldn't put a suit back on.
Oh, that was your own personal insurance policy to not go back in the car industry.
It's something. It's hard not to want to go back to it if things don't go well for you. And I didn't want. Did you
have like an ethical dilemma with it?
I felt bad ripping people off. I felt bad making a living off. The more money I made, the more money I took from you, which means one of us was winning, one of us was losing. And I was ripping people off, and people not going to be able to pay for some of these cars because I was that good at what I did. And it sucked. And basically the job that I told them that I wanted, I felt, at least at that time, the amount of more money I would have been making would have bridged that gap between me having remorse for these people and my pocketbook of not really caring. Like, I could make enough money to where it didn't matter. Here I am, 38 years old, and knowing that would have failed.
Did you somewhere deep down inside know that they weren't going to give this deal to you? Like, you knew you
I thought 100%. I thought I was going to walk in and 100% everybody was going to back me because I was making you got to think, all the desk managers make money off the back end of the deal and the front end, which means I was making every single one. I was buying lobster. My thing is if I made more than a $700 voucher on the back end of a deal, I bought the salesman and the desk manager on the deal a lobster dinner from Fish House de la Cruz.
Oh, wow.
You remember that place in Temecula?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I one day actually ate there 4 times. Including my meals, I bought a total of, I think, 12 meals that day from that place.
Why would they let you walk if they?
Because they were worried that I was going to. In the industry, it's called getting dealer plates, but it usually happens in the first month, and it's something that happens to salesmen, not really finance people. But basically, what getting dealer plates is you come in and very first month you're ever working, or second month you ever work, you're salesman of the month. You sell more cars than all the badasses that have been there forever, and then you fall on your face the next month. Because you don't have that drive, and you don't want to be there every hour the dealership's open, and you fail. I actually did make sales for the month, my very first month in the industry, working for a guy named Jamie Hendon at a Holiday Olds Mazda dealership. I made sales in a month. I outsold our fleet guy by 3 units. And Jamie showed me his paycheck, and he showed me my paycheck. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he made $3,000 more that month than I did. And Jamie was this old hard ass. He was a Vietnam vet, Air Force vet. And he looked at me and was like, so do you want to learn how to sell cars, or do you want to keep busting your ass all day and giving them away? From that day forward, I never, ever, ever made salesman of the month. But I was the highest grossing salesman every month, everywhere I was. And we actually had two guys at the Mitsubishi store. They used to actually team up a lot. They would share every deal. And they were always the co-salesman of the month. And I would sit when they'd get their little plaques, and I'd sit there with my paycheck.
Now I know why I don't like. Now I know I don't like car salesmen.
Oh, scandalous! And I honestly believe it's getting better. I mean, I bought my truck used from the dealership out here, but it was a new dealership. And we got my wife a Jeep and got rid of her Lexus. And I don't think the guy tried to screw me at all. Also, I think where we are, you can't be that scandalous because you don't have that many people. You know, I was in Temecula. There's 600,000 people in Temecula?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know what that is.
We have 15,000 people in Somerset. So you get a bad reputation. Ain't no one buying shit from you out here. So you got to kind of, here they make their money on volume, and people coming back because they like how you were treated. Yeah, they're going to try to make a couple extra bucks, but nothing like the crazy shit we were pulling.
Wow.
We were pulling, back when I was doing sales, we were pulling shit, and it is completely illegal, called Playhouse 90, which is where we were running scams. Like, I was getting fired on a daily basis. If I take, he said if I take this back there one more time, but, I worked for you, and you take the next, get the next thing, and this is after you tell them you have 3 kids, and you just got this job and you really needed it.
That shit really happens? People really do that shit?
100%. Yeah. I've actually made it look like I was thrown across a Miata once. I went running and jumped, and he came out and made it look like he threw me as he was firing me. Papers went all through the air. He told me to get my fucking sorry ass the fuck out of his dealership, and then the wife felt really bad about my 3 kids, and she bought the car.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's like a movie, man. That's a movie.
Throw keys on the roof of the dealership. Trades. Take your trade keys when you're not looking, chuck them on the fucking roof. And then if you don't buy our car, we can't find the keys to your car. I'll tell you what, take our car, take the one that you were going to buy. We'll put gas in it right now. You take it home. We'll give you what's called a borrowed car agreement. You just sign this, that you have insurance, and your insurance is going to cover it, just like if you have a rental car. You take it home tonight. We'll find your keys. We'll have it washed and gassed up for you. So sorry. No one's going to drive a brand new car home, let their neighbors see it, pull it into their garage, and not come back and buy the damn thing. Because you'll be depressed. You're going to be depressed driving your old beater into your garage.
Fuck. You guys are manipulators, man. That's fucked up.
That's actually illegal.
Oh,
100%.
Oh my God.
Which I don't think that should be illegal. I think that shit's fun. That was when it was fun for me. That was when the scamming was fun, because it wasn't about me taking every dollar in your bank account. It was just about me selling the car.
This is a game. It's like a
100% a game. I mean, there was a couple times when I was supposedly legitimately fired, and then they come back, they bought from somebody else, which means I still got half the deal at the same dealership. And then when they came in to get their oil changed, I'd have to hide.
Oh my God.
I made a.
Did you ever run into anybody into town? Like in town, did you ever run into anybody that you sold a car to?
No, I never ran into anybody I sold. No, I take that back. By the way, don't ever put your money with Merrill Lynch, because I sold the chief financial guy of Merrill Lynch in Temecula Mitsubishi Diamante, which was their high-end car. It was his 3rd one. He was losing his ass on the 2 he was trading in, and he still bought a 3rd one, which means I don't want this guy investing my money. He's a super nice guy. His wife was awesome. I sold them cars. I ran into them a couple times, but the guy literally, he must have a real head for other types of finance. I mean, obviously he got to where he is. I'm joking about Merrill Lynch, obviously. But he didn't understand auto sales and depreciations and stuff like that, because, and first off, that Diamante was fucking ugly. He loved, here's the thing, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, 100%.
Maybe he just loved the shit.
Pay me to drive. I wouldn't take, they offered me one as a demo once, and I wouldn't drive it for free. It was ugly. I mean, oh, God, ugly.
You ran into him somewhere?
I ran into him a couple times when in Temecula. And he was happy though. He had no idea that I destroyed him in that car.
Wow.
I buried him.
I guess as long as a person walks away thinking that they, feeling good about the sale.
Is you can, he wanted X amount for this one used one and this amount for this other used one. And there's ways of manipulating where the money goes. So he thinks this one car's, and I'm using round numbers right now. This isn't the numbers from the actual deal. This car's worth $7,000 and this car's worth $5,000, and really it's worth $3,000 and $4,000. But there's $8,000 of profit in this car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy these cars at these cheap prices, but he doesn't know it because I'm using the profit over here. I'm basically manipulating the money to where he actually ended up still actually paying full price for the car, and I still am making a couple thousand on each of his trades.
Oh wow!
And then I did really good when I sold his wife a convertible Eclipse.
So now, so he watches this, he'll figure it out.
I mean, hey, and obviously I kind of hope he does, because then he'll know to stop walking in and stop being like everybody else, stop being a payment buyer. Because when you're not a payment buyer, you look at the number that you're actually buying the car for. Because when I sold his wife his car, it was for more than sticker.
Oh, well.
But he was stuck on payments. I got him the payment he wanted with enough down payment, and there we were.
So when you go, so what would be the piece of advice that you give anybody who goes in to buy a car? Like,
Do your research.
Research on price.
Go online, look it up. See what they're going for. See what they're going for in your area, and also walk in there and know that these people need to make a living too.
Right.
If they make no profit, they make no money, and it's a shitty job. Car sales is it's a grind, and most of them work almost every day. So take all this into consideration. You walk into most dealerships and you tell them you'll give them a $700 profit or $1,000 profit on a basic vehicle. I mean, of course, they're not going to do that on a fucking fully loaded Lexus. No one's going to fucking give up that kind of money on a Highline. But you want to go buy a truck, and you can tell them you can keep $1,000 in the profit, and I'll spend $500 in the back end of the deal. That's a done deal every day, all day. Unless there's something special about that vehicle that they're trying to make added money on. But I mean, just a regular vehicle off the lot, yeah, that's a done deal everywhere.
But let's say a new luxury vehicle. What's reasonable?
I never did Highline. Highline.
What would you suspect would be reasonable?
I don't even know what the margins are, to be honest with you. Like, without knowing the margins, and it depends. I mean, you're talking like a Mercedes, or are we talking a Rolls Royce?
No, like a Mercedes, like something that's realistic for most people.
I'd say like $100,000 Mercedes. I'm gonna guess they're gonna want to make. And here's the thing: I could be way off on this, and I might get laughed out of town. But I'm gonna guess if I was doing a $100,000 Mercedes, I'm gonna think there's somewhere between $10,000 and $18,000 profit in that vehicle. If I can hold on to 6 to 8 of it, I think that's a good deal for them. You got to remember, they're not pushing as many units as Chevy,
right?
So they got to make it in the amount. That would be my guess. I mean, I could be way off. I mean,
that sounds reasonable.
I don't know what the invoice. I've never seen the invoice on a Mercedes. Personally, I would never buy a Highline vehicle. I would only lease.
Right. Well, now why is that?
First off, most of them after 3 years and their warranty goes out, the depreciation's horrible. I mean, the car's worth less than a third of what you bought it for.
Right.
And you're probably still paying for it. If anything goes wrong on it and you don't buy an added insurance policy, it's going to cost you through the nose. If you are stuck wanting to live and have to live in a Highline vehicle, lease them, do those short-term leases, turn them over do $3,000 to $5,000 down and turn them over every 2 to 3 years. I've been through all that. Like I said, when we were in Miami, my wife had the RCF Lexus, and I got better shit to spend my money on nowadays.
Yeah.
I'd rather stick that money in buying a rental property.
Right.
My truck looks just as nice, and if I want to pull up in something custom, I'll go build it rather than go buy something that everybody else can buy the same thing. I mean, I get it. I love driving them and my favorite car I ever drove was a 2014 Bentley GT. That car was absolutely just amazing to drive. Gorgeous car. Drove amazing. When the front air shocks went out, or airbags went out in it, getting it done through a friend who was getting the parts, I'm assuming through somewhere shady, still cost me $6,000.
Oh, jeez.
Your Bentley was going to cost me $16,000. I just don't see the point. I can go custom build a gorgeous 60s Cadillac ground up, being at less than $40,000, and I'm talking a show car. And here's the thing: you can pull up. Last car I remember you buying was your Porsche. You can pull up into your Porsche, and I'll pull up the same restaurant or nightclub in my Cadillac, and I promise no one's gonna give a fuck about your Porsche.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, you rev your motor all you want, and I'll just sit there with my fucking shiny Cadillac and get out and get all the attention.
I think these days, man, I'm moving towards like some of these electric cars. Like I want a Tesla, man. I think I want a Tesla.
Got no soul.
What was that?
It's got no soul.
It's not about soul, man. It's about me not wanting to go to the gas pump anymore and give my dollars to some fucking oil company.
Okay, so want to give it to the electric company? It's still the same.
I'd still rather do that. I'd rather be a little more eco-conscious. I feel a little bit better about myself. And quite frankly, but they're still expensive. I don't know if I'll ever. I don't know. I'm
based on what you just said. Based on what you just said about your H2.
Yeah.
Go get yourself a GMC 2500 HD.
Oh yeah.
Diesel.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a big truck with a diesel in it.
It just felt so comfortable to drive, man.
Just go. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Just go test drive one.
Yeah, man. If I do that shit, I'm in for it. I'll stick with my Panamera for now, and but probably the next car I get will be something a little more eco-friendly. I don't care if it's flashy. I don't care about that stuff. I just want something that I don't have to worry about, that I like, that I enjoy.
Dude, we're not hurting. We're not hurting this planet.
It's not about hurting the planet. It's really about me literally not wanting to give my money to oil companies anymore. I just don't feel like doing it anymore. I don't want to go to the gas. I don't want to get gas anymore. I really don't want to do it. And
just as bad. So
I'm picking my enemy here. I'm picking who I'm going to, and I'd rather just plug it in and I don't go anywhere. That's the thing. I don't go anywhere. I don't travel long distances anymore.
You're literally like, okay, I don't want to get fucked by this guy, but I'm going to get fucked by this guy just as hard.
I could choose, but I'd rather choose. To be honest, I'd rather choose. And to be honest, I just, man.
Go build yourself an old biodiesel.
But I don't know how to build shit.
There's YouTube videos that tell you how to do it.
Yeah, well, I'm not, you know me, man. I barely change light bulbs, let alone.
There's a dude in Montana that was doing old Cadillac Eldorados and turning them into putting biodiesel motors, which means they're literally running on like the oil, like waste oils from like French fries.
Yeah, like McDonald's. I've seen that. That's cool. And it smells like fucking French fries, man.
If you really want to stick it to everybody, go do that.
I don't want to stick it to anybody. I just literally don't want the hassle of going to the pump. So I'm being that lazy because I drive my car to the gym and to the grocery store. That's pretty much it. It's like I live so close to my gym now and so close. I mean, I might put 6-7 miles on my car a week these days. I'm that boring.
So why not just not have the payment, the insurance payment, and just not lazy and walk?
Well, it's too far. It's cold here, bro, in Chicago, man.
You're talking. Okay. I know you. You still go to the gym at least 4 days a week. So you're telling me your gym's round trip is less than 1.25 miles?
Yep.
That's not even a 3/4 of a mile walk each direction.
Hey man, if I can get away with the Segway, I'd do that.
Well, why don't you it's good for your heart. Stop being lazy.
I'm being lazy.
This is why you get this is why your legs are the way they were.
No.
Get out there and move.
Well, on that note, we're at the 2-hour mark.
To the gym.
It's a little too far for me to want to walk, especially in the winter here. But I totally would do it with maybe. I mean, I actually consider getting like a bike. But I do need a car because I do have a need for transportation going into the city every once in a while and the airport. But I just, I don't know. I'm rethinking mine.
There's these awesome things. When I was living in big cities, there's these awesome things I used to use all the time. It's called an Uber.
Yeah, I know. I do the Uber.
They're awesome because you can
get
and climb into an Uber.
Yeah, I know.
But if you're not on a peak time, you can get that luxury Uber for only like a few dollars more and climb into a 6 Series.
I actually, when I was in Vegas at the Olympia, I got because I guess I'm rated well by my Uber drivers because I do like to have my conversations. I got to do those driverless Ubers. Have you been in one of those yet? So like they still put the driver in there. And they had a lady there who was their marketing specialist to sort of tell you what this was about. And the car drives itself.
About the one to kill people.
No, they drive itself. They didn't kill nobody. Well, maybe 2 people were hurt. Or something.
They have killed people.
Yeah, whatever. It didn't kill me. It was in
I
Vegas.
don't like cars to kill people.
They must have been updated. They must have been. Whatever the case is, it was cool though. It was really cool. It was cool. I mean. But in Vegas, I guess there's some kind of rule that once you get on the property of the hotels, they have to have the driver drive it again once it goes on the property. But when we were on the strip or on the side roads, it was driving itself. It was very fucking cool. Like they showed you could see the screen and it recognizes people and pedestrians and cars and it manages the whole thing. It was pretty cool. But I'm like, so I was asking the lady, I said, hey, when is this going to be fully automated? She said, well, probably about 3 years. And I said, why? And she says, well, people are too afraid. So this is just to introduce the technology.
The very first ones killed people.
I don't know if it killed anybody, but
it did. It was in the news. I think they killed 2 people.
Really? Okay, well, It was cool. I thought it was cool. It was a BMW, and they chose that model.
No, I mean it's super cool.
I'm waiting for the hover cars. That's what I'm really waiting for. The cool hover cars because I think that would be badass, man.
I don't think it's a hover car itself is actually like.
No, they have 2, and there's 2 of them that are actually. They say that maybe within 10 years it'll be in production for for us to be able to purchase without a license.
It's going to take over
no.
Do away with wheels.
No, but it would have to be automated. So like. You are the driver, but they're gonna have probably similar to air traffic control kind of thing where they automate because you don't want people flying into fucking buildings and shit and stuff like that, But that man, I'm like George Jetson all the way, man. All I need now is the fucking meal pills. Remember? I don't know if you ever watched George Jetson where they had lunch, breakfast, dinner pills.
No. Fuck it. I like eating too much.
I know you do, but I don't. So.
And yet you became a bodybuilder.
Exactly. That's precisely the reason why I don't like eating because I was force feeding myself for over 30 years. And I'm just this little Asian dude. That's a little Japanese guy by nature. I think that's my. And
you're still over 200 pounds and you're only 5'1". You're not little by any means.
But
you might think you're little in your little brain rolling around. That,
my genetics thinks it is, and I will always be I know bigger than average, but
I'm telling you right now, there's no 120 pound 5'6" Asian guy that's going to drink like I've seen you drink. So.
I know that's a strange thing, and I'm not even a huge drinker, but however, I will say this, man. I remember being at that club that one time when that was the only time I really been that hammered was with you, and so this is all it took, just so everybody. This is what I remember. All I remember is telling you, "Hey, man, you're pouring light." Next thing I know, I'm fucking being carried out. What the fuck did you do?
2 full glasses of vodka with a splash of cranberry in each.
It was fun.
And I cheersed you, and I drank mine, and you drank yours.
Yeah, man, dude, it was
and you were and
it was like, and I remember that stripper came over, and she wanted to give me a lap dance, and I'm like, and she's like, "You're not really interested?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm not here for that." But somebody was falling in love, man.
The other time I've seen you pretty fucked up was the wine tasting.
The wine tasting, yes.
Now, because somebody, and it wasn't me this time, I'm not the guilty party, decided to say, hey, let's kill a bottle of Jaeger before we go wine tasting in like 10 minutes. So
and it happened.
After shot after shot after shot. We kill the bottle. The limo shows up, and we're off to the races.
I figured, you know what? We're wine tasting. We're going to get like an ounce here and an ounce there. Like, how am I going to even feel anything from that? Like, you know, I could drink a bottle.
The first place we went, that one dude just...
You're throwing that dude 20s.
That was the second one.
Okay.
The first one, the dude was like, oh, you got to try this. And he's pouring a full glasses. We're out of tickets a long time ago. He's like, you got to try this. You got to try this port. You got to try this. And I don't even drink wine. I'm just pounding. I'm not even tasting nothing. I'm just glass after glass. We get in the limo, go to the second one, and they're trying to do these 1 ounce pours.
And you're like, dude.
In Vegas, my brain's drunk. I'm in Vegas mode. So I'm throwing money at this dude, going, pour more booze. Dude, fill the fucking glass. Basically tipping, like trying to tip him, but I'm kind of being like an ass.
Oh no, you gave him a couple 20s and he's throwing us glasses.
Oh no, he started pouring it, and then I bought a bottle there because I didn't want to stop drinking on the ride to the third one. After the third one,
You said, I think
on
the way
I ended up trying to wrestle or play fight with one of your friends at your house.
Yes, Craig.
I don't remember, and whoever that was, I'm sorry. I get a little weird.
And then it was like, hey, let's go to Vegas.
No, that was before. That was when we first got back. I actually even got you a babysitter.
Yeah, that's right. You said, I got a girl, she'll babysit for you.
My kid's mom was fully ready to drive over and babysit while we went to Vegas. I'm telling you, that's the guy. That's who I am. I'm horrible for doing that.
You're like, I can get a limo here, Ted.
At one point, apparently, I went and took a shower at your house.
You did, and you left.
And I couldn't find a towel, so I used my shirt, and then I couldn't find my shirt to towel off.
All you had to do was ask for a towel, brother. I would have given you a towel.
I don't even remember showering. The only reason I remembered it was when I found my shirt. It was wet in the bathroom, and I went.
That's what happened.
Yeah. So yeah, that was. Apparently, I shouldn't drink wine.
I think you started to get a little anxious, and my wife
I was looking to get more booze because I was starting to come down, and at that point, I started.
I think she gave you a Xanax or something, and she's like, "Oh, here, take this."
And I passed out.
Yeah.
I passed out.
I remember being on the couch, and I was holding my daughter's bunny, and you took a picture. We had a conversation on the couch too. But that was fun.
Because there's a picture of me and you like drunk hugging somebody, and I swear I think your ex-wife posted it to my Twitter.
Oh, did she?
I think she took my phone and posted it to my Twitter.
You can go back and look and find that.
Either that or I did it in a crate, but I don't know how I took a picture, because it wasn't the arm. There's no arm in.
She probably took it. Maybe you posted it.
I think she posted it to my Twitter. I don't remember anything about it. Then people were commenting, and we're both like 250 at times. There's 500 pounds of just.
And I remember I was like manic because I woke up from that, and on the couch I'm like, "Where's my phone? Oh my God, I lost my phone." And apparently the limo driver from the wine tasting excursion, she took it. I dropped it in the limo, and she picked it up and she held it for me, and I got it the next day. And when I got it back, she took a couple pictures of her dogs.
You just got that new phone too. That was a brand new phone.
I was just worried about
that was like the iPhone 6 had just come out.
Yeah, I was just worried that I was like, man, that's my business. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, oh my God, I never lose anything.
Yeah, that was a.
We're gonna have another one of those. We're gonna have another drunk excursion sometime soon. I just know it within the next year or two.
Oh, it's probably gonna happen.
But this time, no phones will be lost, and no one's gonna be.
Well, what you should do is I'm gonna try to do one of the Kentucky Muscle shows. Try to come down for one of them.
Oh, there we go. That's a good plan. Okay, well then we'll.
It's in a big city actually, so it's in Louisville, and we can go find out what kind of trouble we can get in Louisville.
There we go. We'll shoot some video and we'll put it on the podcast.
Yeah.
The adventures.
I apologize in advance for everything that's going to happen.
No, No, you don't. No, you don't. It's always good fun. We always have good fun. It's always good fun.
Everybody will make sure everybody's taken care of. I mean, we run amok, but everybody's taken care of at the end of the day.
I never had any super bad experiences. Always fun.
Yeah.
Well, we're at we're a little past 2 hour mark. Hey man, this is another great conversation, another fun conversation. I love hearing all the stories. You got a million of them, and this is just tipping the iceberg. So I like these conversations. Okay.
Oh yeah, we'll get into some more of the other stuff.
Crazy antics. Well, some of this stuff, as we alluded to earlier, and for people who just so they know, there's a lot of stuff that we can't talk about just yet for a little while. But once the air clears in your life,
yeah, when certain legal actions are done,
yeah, then we'll be able to talk about it, and that'll get fun.
Some of the people watching this, if they know me or know you through me, you through you, they'll actually know what that's about, but they will, they'll know the true truth.
And it'll be really, actually, I think, really enlightening for some people to watch it, because it'll be a lot of fun for us to talk about, but it'll be enlightening.
Oh, dude, there's so many facets of that story. There's so many, dude, that's like an onion that grew onions.
Yeah. Layers.
Like there's so much false. I mean, there's so much false information around right now. People feeding lies to people. Yeah, I mean, I can't go. Probably if I go any further, I'm probably get myself.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But it'll be
when the people find out, dude. Some people aren't going to be surprised at all, and some people their minds are going to be completely blown. So, I'm just be happy to just. I'm gonna air all the bad laundry, and there's really nobody but one person that's going to be upset. Out shedding false information. So because everybody else in the situation was actually great people, and no one was doing anything intentional.
Yeah.
So, but I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, man. Hey, again, another great episode here. I will we'll talk again in a week or so, if not, and you be good. No more dirty dealing.
I haven't done that.
All right, another episode of Handle Your High with me and you do, John. All right,
Handle Your High with Tadayoshi.